Ladies and gentlemen, today is August 11, 2015, and this is the KNKL Show, episode 250. Hey, look at that. We're halfway on our way to number 300, the big 300. And today we are going to be learning, today is Tutorial Tuesday, where we learn to be better artists, and today we are going to be learning to flow. Flow with none other than the amazing game that just came out for, hey, look at that. You see what that is right there? Wii U. And we're going to be talking about Splatoon today because I love these characters. I love Inklings. And we're going to be drawing them today, learning about flow, learning about construction of faces, using shapes, just how I go about just kind of feeling my way through a piece, how I start a piece, right? Because we all know that beginning a piece can be one of the most dreadful and scary things that an artist can ever undertake. But before we get into that, we have to take a stroll down a very special place, and that is the lovely lane, because you guys are so awesome and you've been submitting your amazing works. Look at this. I can now look up. I decided to move the camera down here so it's like not in the way. But you guys have been submitting your awesome artwork to the Facebook. If you'd like to go check these out for yourself, just type in that tiny URL backed by the Facebook blue. Head on over, like the page, post your work, get featured on the show, and come get some cookies. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my gosh, I've been gone for a couple weeks. Oh yeah, you might notice that the background is different. Hey, we got moved into the new studio house. So yes, we are still getting situated. Eventually, I'll start putting up all kinds of cool pictures and stuff behind me from artists like you, amazing things that you guys have sent in to me. And yeah, we got, oh man, we were just rolling with this. I take off for like 2 weeks and you guys got so much awesome artwork. Okay, there we go. Finally done. Finally done. All right, with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and actually get into drawing some Splatoonies. Splatoonies, that's what we're going to call them. All right, so let's go ahead and zoom out. Just so you know, on the other screen, I got this cute little Inkling girl I'm going to use as my reference. That's on the other screen, though. You don't need to see that. Yeah, but that's basically what we're going to be working with today. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's go ahead and get started on that. Okay, so we've got our good old canvas, 16 by 9 started up, and I think I'm working at just like 200 DPI. No big deal. We're gonna go ahead and get started. Okay, so what we're talking about today is mostly flow and how to start a piece, okay? Because I know so many of you out there, you're like, all right, you're like, I got this amazing idea. I'm gonna draw Splatoon. I've been playing Splatoon. I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna draw, right? And then you sit down, you pull up Photoshop, and you look at the canvas and you're like, yeah, all right. And then you just like end up like kind of like squiggling around. You just draw like some crap over here, just like draw happy faces. And you never really quite get to the point. You beat around the bush, beat around the proverbial bush, and you never really get anywhere. So I'm going to show you how to properly do that, how to start a picture. Okay, because you might have like this grand idea. You want to recreate the freaking, you want to recreate this image right here. It's like, yeah, it's going to be like all action-packed, and then it's like going to be the guy like shooting it at her, and then it's like, it doesn't really come across that way, or it doesn't really look that way. You know, because you have to start with something, right? You got to start with something. You got to do something that we call a warm-up, okay? Now, what is a warm-up? Okay, that's basically what I'm doing here, okay? I'm just drawing shapes down. Drawing shapes down. I love how I'm talking about not beating around the bush, and now I'm purposely doing it on the show. All right, but anyway, like, we're drawing just shapes. We're just getting a feel for how we want to begin constructing our Inkling faces. What is it that makes them awesome? What is it that makes them awesome? What are shapes that we can use to create these faces, okay? So I'm starting with that. That's okay. That's fine. Let's go ahead and take that and put that over there, okay? New layer. Let's start with something else here, okay? Because I'm awesome and I have a comic, I'm going to go ahead and just kind of steal some rules that I know from that, and that is starting with a circle. Hey, I bet you never heard of that one before. And then we're going to go ahead and add on a chin shape, okay? And then the Inklings tend to have very, very wide heads, and I really like that. Like, they have very ovular, oblong type of heads. And then they have their mouths right down here, right where that line intersects. And I like that they have these triangle mouths, which is very, very cute and very, very fun. I don't know why, but I like it very much. So we're going to make sure we include that. Now, the other cool thing about their noses that I like is that they go up and then they go back like that, and they go up towards their eyes. But I'm just going to draw that bottom part because that's the way I do my comic, and that's the way we're going to do it on the show because it's my show, and I get to make up my own rules. Oh, yeah, and for those of you who might not notice, the interface and everything on Photoshop might be just a little bit clearer, and that is because we are going to be doing the show from now on, well, at least for right now, we're going to be doing it in 1080p because ever since I moved to this new place, there are not only loud cars that drive by every now and then, but there are, the internet here is such that the upload is something to be desired. So, yeah, live shows are going to be canned for the moment. But fear not, I'm not going away. I'm not going away. I'm going to stay right here with you. And we're going to draw Inklings, okay? Okay, so check it out. So I'm just laying some stuff in, still just kind of getting the feel for what I want to do with this character, okay? I'm just kind of experimenting, laying in very, very loose shapes still, like this, okay? And that's okay. That's okay. So I like this one. I'm going to start with this one. So we're going to go ahead and do a cool little thing called Control J. And I'm going to actually make this a little bit darker for the stream or for the show. A lot of you notice that I like to work in light colors at the beginning. And the reason why I do this is because it makes it a little bit easier on the eyes. It makes it easier on the eyes so that way you're not drawing with like a straight black. Because when you draw with a straight black on a white background, it tends to be very, very harsh and it looks strange. Like if you take this and you want to draw something lightly, it's very hard to like get the exact look. I don't know. I just like the feeling of like lighter lines at the beginning. Feels a little bit more, I don't know, natural, if you will. Feels much more natural. So let's go ahead and continue with this. So I like this face. But my problem is that these eyes are, or this head is not nearly big enough. We need to have a larger cranium. This cranium needs to be much bigger. Okay. Now I'm going to do this thing with her ears. Okay. So now I'm going to start kind of playing around with a couple things here. I'm going to make her ears kind of come downwards, right? Kind of have like this downward look. Because I just want to have that flow happening. And we'll get more into flow exactly once we start doing the hair, because that's going to be another very important part. Because we are working with very soft, and look at this. Okay. Check this out. If you don't like where something is placed, you can just lasso it with the awesome tools that are at your disposal in Photoshop. It's not cheating. It's not cheating, as somebody have you believe. You should be able to draw everything perfectly the first time, but that is not true. That is not true. When you're working in Photoshop, when you are a digital artist, you can do whatever the heck you want, okay? Just don't tell anybody I told you that, okay? It's a secret. Shh. Shh. Professionals don't even get it right every time, okay? So just go ahead and lasso that stuff. Almost said something else. And move it to where you want it, okay? Speaking of lassoing, I like this mouth, but I'm going to move it up a little bit. So I'm going to move it more like this. Ah, cute. Very cute. Love that. Love that. Okay, now I really like their eyebrows because they're like teardrops, but they're really like thick. So it looks like that. And the other thing that I like about the guys and the girls is that their faces, like this could easily be a guy or a girl. They're fairly androgynous faces for the most part. So what I'm going to do is let's see if we can play around with some way to make our Inkling look more girly. Maybe we can do something as simple as maybe a little swoosh right here, like a little eyelash thing. That would be cute. Let's just try that. It's my Inkling, right? It's my Inkling. I get to do whatever I want with it. Okay. And let's go ahead and start laying in that hair. And I actually did this really cool sketch a little while ago. Oh, I can actually show it to you guys. I did these sketches for my awesome patrons on Patreon, where I did a bunch of Inklings, as you can see here. And I was experimenting with different like hairstyles and just different shapes. And it's like not really coming through because the exposure is a little weird and it's blowing out the drawing, but you can see it in general. But that's basically what I was doing. I was playing around with different shapes, different hairstyles. But for this one, I'm going to stick with just the usual one, okay? So let's go ahead and shrink this down a little bit. Okay? So, continuing. Okay, so here's where we want to start getting into flow. And I've said this once, I've said it a million times. Guys, don't ever draw off a head. Like this is just for experimental purposes only. I don't want you drawing a head like this and saying like, okay, so like, yeah, she's going to be in like this awesome battle pose where she's like reaching toward us, right? With like a gun, right? It's got like a gun right here. And then it's going to be like shooting ink all over the place. And then this other arm's going to be back here like this. And she's going to be like jumping at us. Like, see how dumb that looks? See how her like freaking neck, it looks like a giraffe's neck? And the reason why is because you don't do that. You don't draw a head and then draw a body on it. This is just for experimenting and learning about style. But I will show you how I would go about drawing a cool pose. But first, let's focus on this girl, okay? Let's get our girl Inkling done, okay? And let's move on to the hair. Okay, so I want you guys to watch what I do right here. See how I'm gonna go about drawing her tentacles, but I don't draw like, I'm not like zoomed in like this, and I'm like, okay, let's draw like a tentacle. Okay, so it goes like down like this, and I think it like does this thing, and then it has like this little suction cup thing. No, it doesn't look like that. What you wanna do is you wanna zoom out so that way you can have lines. You wanna draw lines and see how that was one clean swoop like that. We're gonna go up like that. Create your shapes, okay? Create shapes with long lines. Create your flow with long natural lines, okay? Because if you don't, I will find you. I will find you and I will discipline you, all right? Even though I know some of you would like that. But we're not gonna get into that on the show here. Okay, anyway, continuing. Okay, so now you can see, look, we got a cute little Inkling girl. Cute little Inkling girl. Love it. All right, and they got like this, I imagine it's like, they have like this depth to their hair, right? And it's like white underneath. I imagine it like it's like a cut of sushi, right? You know how good like a piece of sushi looks on top of that the rice ball or whatever that you get it on? That's what I imagine it. You want to show that depth in the hair because it is in fact a piece of sushi, okay? It is a piece of sushi on their hair. I think some of the girls, like whatever the celebrity girls are, they literally have like sushi on their head. I was like, it's kind of messed up. I mean, they're like sea creatures and they literally have the dead carcasses of other sea creatures on their hair. But anyway, that's another conversation for maybe never. Let's continue with this. All right, so I'm liking this a lot. This looks very nice, very cute, very cute. All right, so a couple things that I want to bring to your attention before we get into our battle pose or action pose, or just coming up with an idea for that, is a couple things that I've done with the eyes, okay? So let's go ahead and whip out our good old note-taking color. New color here. So I want to bring your attention to a couple things. And this really has to do when you're drawing like, this is like anime characters or cartoon characters and making them feel like they're actually 3D, right? Because it's easy to draw an anime character, you know, facing forward, right? Where the eyes are perfectly symmetrical, right? You can draw the perfectly symmetrical eyes and they look like this. And then they have like a shine in them, right? And they got that going on and they're like, wah, like that, right? I'm sure you've all seen this. But the challenge comes in, and that's really ugly. I don't want to see that. I mean, I'll keep it on the PSD for the people that are going to download it later on Patreon, but let's put it over to the side there. Well, let's talk about what is going through my mind when I'm constructing things in a 3D space, okay? And that is, we have our head shape here, right? And then we have a middle line that goes right up through here, and that's where our nose is going to be located. See that? So I'm almost gonna like draw a grid or think of this in a 3D space, okay? So this middle line is where our nose comes from. And then you'll have one eye here, right? You'll have an eye here. But then to draw the eye on the other side, notice how we didn't just replicate that exact shape, right? We condensed it. We basically took that shape and we put it into perspective. So think of it as a similar thing. You have a circle, right? And then as you turn that circle into space, right? As you turn it away from you, see? Wait, hang on, that's like a terrible ellipse. There we go. As you turn that circle away from you, see this is like the midpoint. Your midpoint is there now, okay? But we're working with eyeballs, so they are rounded spherical shape looking thingies, okay? So that's basically what I'm keeping in mind when I draw these eyes over here, okay? Making sure that you condense those shapes. Condense them, people. Condense them. And lastly, I think that was basically it. Just remembering that things will, it also happened with the eyebrows. See how we have that shape here? We didn't draw that same exact shape there. See how we've condensed even this one. And another thing I like to do is I like to push this eyebrow to the left. I like to push it out and to the left to simulate the depth that's happening basically in this brow line. See how it probably goes like through here? Let me go ahead and... So the nose kind of comes back like this and then it goes back out for the brow line. So you kind of have something like this if I was to draw it as a wireframe. See? So it's something like that. I mean, it's not that exaggerated, but in general, that's why I like to push my eyebrows out, okay? So, let's go ahead and call that one good for now. And let's move on to an action pose and then call it good. Then we will end. So I'm going to go ahead and move this baby right over there. Right over there. Oh, this is great. Look, we have these nice sketches creating depth. Okay, before I do this, before I end this, though, I do want to put a couple little spots on her tentacles because they do have those as well. And then her little suction cup thingy. There we go. Okay, so now that we have experimented with our Inklings, let's talk about how to draw an action poses, okay? Now this is really where we start getting into flow, really getting into flow. Because I'm not gonna ask you to draw a face, I'm not gonna ask you to even draw a body necessarily, but I'm gonna ask you to draw lines, okay? Draw lines, draw things that you would like to see, things that make an interesting design. Things like this perhaps, you know? So see how these lines automatically start to feel like they flow together, right? So I want to get you used to thinking of things like this, okay? Now this is just for an example and mostly for an exercise, okay? Because this is gonna come into play in just a moment. Okay, so coming up with things that flow together, interesting things, just seeing how you can create shapes that basically flow into one another, okay? Now that's gonna come into play right now, okay? So let's go ahead and start with our Inkling, okay? So we know that we want, let's say we want this Inkling to be jumping back or whatever with like the gun pointed at you, okay? So here's a couple things that we want to think about, okay? So let's say that our floor plane, like our floor was like right here, okay? So this is our floor plane. Okay, now jumping back from that. Now, again, I usually don't draw this out, but just for the purposes of the exercise, I'm showing you. So we're gonna have the Inkling jumping back from us, okay? So immediately we're gonna have a line that goes back like this, okay? That's our line of action, if you will, okay? So let's go ahead and like draw a head. Maybe the head can go right there, okay? Now I'm gonna draw something off of that and be like, okay, well maybe this is the arm, okay? The arm here. And what I want you to be thinking about mostly is silhouettes. You want to be thinking about the outer edges of this as you go about this, as you go about creating this sketch, okay? So let's see. Okay, so she's probably right-handed, so let's go ahead and we'll do it like this. Okay, so the gun will be like here. Maybe it'll be up like this. Or no, it should be pointed like at us. That'd be tight. So I'm actually gonna flip this around because I want her to have the gun in her right hand, which is gonna be our left. Okay, so she's gonna have that gun right here, and she's gonna have it pointed at us, okay? So she's gonna be like this. That other hand will be grasping it there, and then this hand will be on the gun, okay? I'm gonna go ahead and erase that ground plane since we don't need it anymore. And see how rough, like just watch how rough I work with this, and just notice the things that I am going to be doing on here, okay? So now we have to create some legs. So rather than worry about drawing like perfect shapes and everything, I'm just gonna draw lines first. Like, do I like this line? Do I like this shape? Be like, yeah, that's pretty good. Maybe it should be something more like this, you know? Something more like maybe her foot could be coming toward us like this. Yeah, and again, I'm not worrying so much about how does that foot even work. It's just like, do I like this line? Do I like that line? And then you figure all that stuff out later, you know, figure all that other crap out later. And then, hey, if you don't like it or if you can't figure it out, if you can't figure that leg out, then maybe you can just crop it off the page. I don't know. It's like you're the artist. You get to choose what you do. Okay, so here's a good example of flow. See what we've done here? We've created a bunch of shapes, but see how that original line of action is still in that piece? Okay. Ooh, and hey, those lines that we just put there, what do you think those could be? Oh, maybe the tentacles. Brilliant. Brilliant. I like that. Okay, cool. Excellent. So I'll have the tentacles being right there and there. Okay, cool. So we have the beginnings of our Inkling drawing. And probably what I'll end up doing is I'll probably be making this like a multi-part series. We'll probably continue this into the rest of the week, or into possibly Thursday or maybe next Tuesday. I still got to figure out what my new schedule is going to be. because yeah, we need to get this new stream thing figured out. But I'll refine it just a little bit. Because I'd hate to leave you at this stage, right? Because you gotta give you a little more something to work with. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with this because I really like this beginning pose here. So a couple things that I know that I really want out of this is I want her to be looking down the gun, okay, or like looking at us, and maybe have the other eye closed. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and draw that. Okay, remember how we constructed those eyes over here? I'm going to do that same thing over here, but still very, very roughly. Okay? And let's see. I kind of want to have her head pointed down more because I think it'll make it look cooler. Okay? So have those eyes, like drop those eyes down. And this is where it goes into line sculpting. See, I'm bringing up my line sculpting. Okay. So that eye is up. That eye is looking through. That there. And then now I'm going to start kind of pulling out the proper shapes, the shapes that I like. So let's see. And I still haven't figured out what clothes she's going to wear. So for now, we're just going to draw her good old naked inkling body. Oh my gosh. How controversial. That is so naughty. But yeah, we're just going to focus on the body first and then we'll worry about the clothes later. Hey, it's one of my favorite things. See, because as an artist, you can always get away with drawing naked people. You just be like, oh, I haven't put the clothes on yet. I'm studying anatomy. You can always say that. All right. So anyway, let's continue with this. Okay. So this hand, we know, actually, we need to put this one further up. We need to put this one further up coming toward us because that's the one that's grasping, say, this part of the gun. This part of the gun right here. So there we go. And then this other part of the gun, this might be like the elbow sticking out right there. Yeah, I like it. And then this part of the gun, I want this to be more aimed at us. More exaggerated. More exaggerated, I like that. We'll have it look something like that. Looks good. Looks good. And now you can see right before your very eyes, look at that. Your pieces coming together. Okay, so now let's move on. Let's just do the body a little bit more, and then we'll do the legs, and then we're done, people. We're done for this week. Okay, so for the body, what I'm going to do is I'm always considering the body. I think of the body like this. It's like an hourglass, okay? You guys have seen me draw this shape many, many times. Think of it as like a sushi roll that's kind of been squished in the middle, okay? It's a sushi roll that's been squished in the middle. Okay, and then you have like your center point there, and then you have that there. Okay, so that's what I'm thinking about right here. That's what I'm thinking about with this piece. So we're gonna draw that sushi roll down like this, look at that, and then this is gonna be that other end of it. Okay, we got the other end of it there. And then from that, our legs come right off of it. You wanna think of it almost like a one-piece swimsuit. That's the way I always tend to think of it. Now I want this leg to possibly be up. Maybe I want it to be up, like coming toward us. Because I really like the shoes. And I'd like to showcase those shoes. So maybe we could have it being like this. Maybe one leg is up, like that. And then the other one could be jumping also. Let's see. Or maybe this leg should be down. Maybe this leg should be more like this. See how quickly I erased that and redrew it? Again, just focusing on my shapes. That's why I'm able to do it. Maybe this leg will be the one that comes more toward us. And this one has the shoe out. Nah. I still don't like that one. Okay, so let's go back in our history. Okay? Might have gone too far. But we still have this original thing here. I really want to preserve this shape. Because see how it reinforces our original line of action. So I'm gonna try my best to preserve that in whatever way I can, okay? So let's go ahead, but this leg I feel that we can play around with. We can do some interesting things with. We can basically make the leg work for us, okay? But I know that it has to exist within that sort of space, okay? So let's see, what can we do here? I'm thinking what I might do actually is flip the canvas because that always helps a lot. Okay. Ooh. Here we go. I think I figured it out. Okay, so we'll have one leg like this. One leg like that. Dang it, that still doesn't look right. We might just have to ponder it over the week. All right, I'll give it a couple more shots. I really did like that one with the leg like coming right at us. Like where it's like up and then this leg is coming down. That did look really cool. Yeah, there we go. That's it. Boom, there you go. There's our solution right there. Okay, so this leg is up. We'll have our good old shoe there. They have like huge shoes. So we'll figure out what that's gonna look like. But then, hey, look at that. We got the rest of this coming down, and then this shoe can be off the screen. But for the purposes of this, I'm not gonna cheat you. I'll draw the other shoe in there too. And just the shape. So let's have the other shoe shape be like that. And there you go, people. See, we have an awesome flowing action pose that we've drawn with shapes, with flow lines, and we haven't gotten caught up in the nitty gritty. This is what we call nitty gritty. Fix that G. Okay, you don't want to draw, like when you're drawing action poses, you don't want to start with this stuff over here. You want to start with this stuff. Yay! Happy Splatoon-y thing. See, those are their dreadlock things. Okay, there we go. Actually, this one's way better. This one's way better. We're totally going to go with that one. Love the chin on that one. Alrighty, people. With all that out of the way, we're going to go ahead and end today's show. Thank you guys so much for joining me on YouTube. Again, thank you guys for being supportive and understanding of the new, basically, setup that we have to do with the show. The good news is that we'll all be in 1080p, as I said. Before we take off, I do want to say thank you so much to my awesome sponsors, David Cariello and Laura Bashir. These people are awesome. They have sponsored me on Patreon. If you would like to become a sponsor, then you already know what to do. You can click that link. You get, oh yeah, you can get today's PSD and like all that other stuff. Tired of plugging it every time. You guys already know what you have to do if you want to get cool stuff. Alrighty, so you guys take care of yourselves. I will see you on Thursday for possibly a thoughtful, or maybe we'll continue this. Depends on my mood. You never know what you're going to get here on the KNKL Daily. But I'll see you guys then. And until that time, take care.